going on? Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am trying to use my other computer and I'm gonna have to just switch to the other one, y'all. This is madness right here. So tonight we're going to be talking about divorce. All right, yes, because what better way to know what not to do when getting married than to figure out what leads to the ending of marriage. If you are not already a member of my channel, please like, subscribe so that you don't miss out on all of the juicy content that I try to bring to you every day. Although in the past 2 weeks, I have been very slow because we're moving, and as you can see, there are lots of stacks of stuff all around me. And so, yeah, finding a nice quiet white wall to do my bidding is sometimes a little bit of a challenge. So let's get into this video, okay? Here we are. It says here that, so the first thing that I wanted to do was to check the statistics on divorce rates across the board. Now, I've been following a YouTube channel called Soft White Underbelly, and they had a very, very popular lawyer. His name is James Sexton, I think, is it? Or Peter Sexton, I can't remember. I'm going to link his information in the description box down below. He has been doing divorces for 20 plus years, and he wrote a book or two about what are some of the main reasons why people get divorced. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that based on a little bit of what I've experienced in my marriages. And yeah, so I'm going to be oversharing a little. So stay tuned. Watch to the end. I'll be discussing my points. But first, let's get into the statistics. Now, in 2005, just before the crash, there was a peak in divorce rates. And I was really curious about that because currently, if I am correct, the current percentage of divorces in Germany is 35%. So yeah, actually it is just 35%. So divorce has been going down. It has been consistently going down in Germany. And I find that really interesting because I was under the assumption, like many people, that divorce is going higher in many countries, and it's only increasing in all countries across the board. That is only true for America, and since most of my audience is American, I'm going to talk specifically about that in a minute. Now, the reasons divorces took place in Germany, the reason for divorce has changed over time across the board. And one of the things that we see here in Germany is that it has definitely changed to the type of expectations that people have in relationships. Now, in a few videos that I have done in like way back on my YouTube channel, I do talk about expectations being one of the primary reasons for the breakdown of any relationship, because sometimes people have, I'm so sorry guys, I'm trying to get this hair under control. It's just not working out for me. But one of the main reasons that people have expectations that they come into a relationship with that don't get met is because the relationship, the expectations are not clearly they're not spoken about, right? So people have expectations because when they get together, they have a couple of things in common. Mainly, they're attracted to each other, and that attraction is supposed to carry through the relationship throughout all kinds of situations. But what ends up happening is, and I'm not a relationship expert, this is my disclaimer before y'all come for me and disagree with me or whatever. One of the things that ends up happening is that people end up spending a lot of time in the infatuation period and just making nice and getting along, and not enough time actually learning how this person is at their worst or in a day-to-day situation. And so the expectation is that this person is going to continue to be this lovely person that you met 5, 6, 7, 10 years, 15, 20 years down the line. And that's just not the case, because people tend to change their way of being, thinking, and they just evolve and mature, or, go through life and have their own personal journey that affects their perception of how they view relationships. So back in those days, it seems like such a long time ago. Um, in 2025, there were issues like violence, so domestic violence, alcoholism, infidelity. And these issues have been replaced by things like communication problems and lack of common interests. Now, I remember, so I've been married twice. If some of you guys already know that. My second marriage has lasted up to now. We will be celebrating our ninth anniversary this December. Before my husband and I got married, we did a 6 months marriage preparation course. And I think that had opened my eyes to a lot of the things that a lot of the things that I thought I knew about marriage or thought I knew about my husband, and some of the things that I thought I knew about relationships and what I thought relationships were supposed to be versus what they really are. And it was in this session that you get the space to ask very hard questions about day-to-day things that matter the most when it comes to how relationships actually break down. Because we are very unclear, because we want to be nice and we want to be, you know, we want to be respectful and we want to be likable and we want to be accommodating. And those are the things that actually end up building resentment, because we are doing our best to please our partner and our partner may or may not be doing the same. But at some point in time, we stop doing that because life gets in the way. And the expectation is still there that we will continue to be these people, but we're not because of life getting in the way. And there is no room for consideration as to what happens next when that breakdown happens. And the second thing is that we don't have the necessary tools and understanding of how this person operates in the situation, because that's totally new, because most of the relationship has been spent with just being nice and not actually being yourself. Now, the concept of yourself is absolutely extremely fluid in a marriage, because what has happened in terms of the things that I have read with this debacle is that people expect that you will be the same person that you were when you entered the marriage, and that's just not possible. Even if you decide not to have children, even if you decide not to, pursue a career, people evolve, change, grow, get older. And if you are not constantly aware of those changes, you cannot make accommodation for when those changes take place and figure out what needs to happen or how to even have a conversation about those changes, because you don't have the necessary tools to deal with them. Now, I'm going to get into a lot of trouble now. I'm excited. I'm very excited. Because so in 2005, the divorce rate was at an all-time high, and it was because the types of marriages have changed. It had changed. And how they changed is from women just wanted their partner not to beat them, not to do all of the things that I had just listed, but they now are on a level, or not a level, on a journey of self-awareness. I like using the word self-awareness in my practice, but I don't like using it for these kinds of conversations because it indicates something very, very, very bad. But let's just say self-awareness or self-realization, right? People's level of self-realization started to become more and more of a priority. And I can remember specifically being told in my marriage preparation class, you've got to learn how to do everything, as many things as possible together. Because if you make your marriage about your happiness, you will be sadly disappointed for many reasons, but I'll give you two. This is what the teacher said. First reason is that there's no way that a person can always make you happy. Your happiness comes from you. They can support you, they can encourage you, inspire you, motivate you, but it's not their job for you to be happy. You have got to make you happy. But that does not mean that they don't play a role in your happiness. If they are not okay, you are not okay, because you have a soul tie with this person now. And so if you can't figure out a way how to work that out together, then you will be in a situation where you are even more alone than you are in your figuring out of this stage in your life. And then the second thing is that there is no such thing as being an individual anymore. And a lot of people, myself included, get this wrong. As a matter of fact, this is one of the things that me and my husband argue about a lot. How much do we need to be sharing with each other on a day-to-day basis about what the other is doing? And it doesn't work otherwise. Like, he had to learn this because we've both been single and on our own for a very long time, that we were so used to making decisions on our own. And what we started to realize, well, at least is what I started to realize, is that when we did that, there was a breakdown in communication, right? Because there's no such thing as you making a decision about something you want to do that does not, if not 100% directly affects your partner, but in some way, shape, or form affects your partner. And a lot of people think that they can continue to be an individual while being in a relationship. And worse than that, modern women or women of today tend to think that they should have that level of autonomy in a marriage because they're scared to death. I was one of those women, scared to death to being completely reliant on another individual for everything and anything, because it's humiliating. Just real talk, all right? It's humiliating. It's, to me, degrading. And I don't like to have to humble myself and ask for things that I think the person should automatically know. Although there is no way for that person to automatically know anything about what I want, need, or desire unless I tell them. And that requires a level of communication that is one solely based on my level of confidence in how much I feel I deserve said thing, and my level of confidence and ability to understand whether that person says yes or no does not necessarily determine my self-worth. All right. And so when my teacher said to me, yeah, you got to make sure that you get this right, because if your husband has to tell you, no, we're not going to do this, or no, we can't afford that, because you've opted out of having a career to stay home and take care of your children, then your financial autonomy is completely dependent on him, and that can cause a lot of issues. And that's what people say, or that's what people mean when they say, oh, there was a breakdown in the relationship because he wasn't making enough money, or I needed more money, or the relationship broke down because of money issues. The real reason is that women have a standard of living. I got over this real quick because I come from a place where you have to do a lot more with a lot less. And I have always practiced gratefulness and thankfulness, thank God. But when you come from this kind of independence and autonomy, it's hard to give that up. And the longer you have that, the harder it is for you to give it up and hand that over in complete faith and with good intention and trust, beyond a shadow of a doubt that this person's not going to screw you over. Basically, that's what it is. You have to approach everything in good faith and with a clean heart that, yes, this person is genuine, and there is a eagle. Is that an eagle or a hawk? Oh my gosh. This person's going to be completely genuine and honest, and make sure that that you can trust him beyond a shadow of a doubt. And so those things are are the bread and butter of how relationships work or don't work. And so when I think of looking back at what was going on at the time in 2005, like what was going on, hang on a second, because it doesn't really say it on my channel.
I don't know her.
Oh my God. I was like, what was going on in Germany in 2005? First female president. Angela Merkel. So there was a split. Federal elections were held in Germany in the 18th of September 2005 to elect the members of the 16th Bundestag. The snap election was called after the government's defeat in the North Rhine-Westphalia state election, which caused them to intentionally lose a motion of confidence to trigger the early federal election. The outgoing government was a coalition of the central-left Social Democratic Party of Germany, SPD, and the Alliance of the 90, the Greens. So this was led by the federal chancellor Gerhard Schröder. The election was originally intended to be in the autumn of 2006, but it was held early. So this is the current climate that women in politics are becoming more and more. I think Angela Merkel was, she was in parliament for a while. I think her career in politics started. Oh, yeah, but that was the year she won. She won in 2005. And so this created an atmosphere of more empowerment for women, which is kind of crazy because my mom studied in The Hague, which is in the Netherlands, and her what's her name? Her professor of women's studies was a German. And so, I kind of feel like this has been going on for a longer time, but there was definitely a time and a feel and an atmosphere of women's empowerment, liberation, feminism. And this feminism led to women no longer feeling like they had to be staying at home and taking care, because they probably felt like Angela is going to take care of me. Now, if you watch my last video where I talk about state and federal funding to take over the whole idea and the family unit and the family concept as a recipe for disaster for communities, and the quality of people coming up in those communities will decline because the state is meddling in things that state should not be meddling in, then you will have more of a background. That was kind of a long asterisk there, but you will have more of a background as to why these things happen the way they do and how all of them line up and connect to one another. So that was happening in Germany, and marriage was on a decline, or divorce was at an incline, and now we've seen almost full circle more and more people getting married in Germany, because our situation here is oh my gosh, am I German now? Our situation here is a little bit different than in the United States, because I believe that a lot of marriages are being prevented from ending because there's a lot of social support, and a lot of fair social support. Now that may change depending on what happens in the next couple of years or the next 5-10 years. But the way the social system is set up here is not the way the social system is set up in America. And I was in the comment section. I did my comment section video review where I talk a lot about why, I feel like I could talk about that one comment alone. The way women pick government assistance over marriage. As a matter of fact, that's even a book. I digress. The way how the government assistance is set up here is not so, what's the word I'm looking for? Degrading? You're not standing in line for no government food stamps, none of that kind of stuff. You do have to really know your ins and ends, your P's and Q's, get all of that information sorted out. My husband does that when we have applied for government assistance, but it does not have the same kind of stigma. Well, it has a bigger stigma in a way that people are encouraged to be more independent depending on what their background is. And so people like my husband and people that he associates with are from two-parent households where one person was, if not both people, were supportive and involved in their kids' development. Now, we're seeing more and more single moms. It's still a phenomenon here that is on the rise, but not as quickly as we see it in America. I'm going to be discussing this in more further detail in my next video, so please stay tuned. Of course, you will know what to do. Please make sure to stay safe and stay free.